Welcome everyone to the Clintonville Area Commission October meeting. I'm Paul Lada, the Vice Chair. Brittany is running a few minutes late, but she'll be here probably about 10 minutes or so. So let's begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and those who can stand, please join us. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. So bear with me, I'm not good with Robert's rules, so we need to approve the agenda. Does someone a motion to approve it? So moved. Second? All right. All in favor? Aye. There it is all. Okay. We'll begin with district updates. Commissioner reports.
Just over minutes. North Lawrence, District 6. In my district, we had 2 Oktoberfests, one on West Lowland and one on Cook, and I attended one of them. In our district, there's also lots of traffic accidents, or crashes, I should say. And this Thursday, or last Thursday, there was one near the North Star and the Fusion. 2 cars were totaled. And I was in a crash myself as well. So I was riding south on North High Street, and a car went into my lane, didn't see me, and I slid at minor damage, or damage to my bike and some injuries. And what I learned is, I tried to call public safety, but it's hard to get through. What I learned is that you can submit a police report yourself, but then it doesn't get into the records. So it's useful for insurance, but it's not counted as an accident or a crash. So it's another evidence of I've been keeping track of crashes in my district and in my high street. Because safety was an issue safety is an issue that we discussed in this Clintonville Area Commission. And I learned that a lot of crashes actually do not make it into the record. So the streets of Clintonville, including North High Street, may be more unsafe. Those are my updates.
Thanks. Miller?
Yep, just one update, Drew Miller, District 9. I learned today about a Columbia Gas project that's proposed for the northeast corner of Morse Road in Indianola. Currently there is a commercial office building there, and it appears they would like to demolish that and put in a natural gas metering station. That application is going to be heard at the Zoning and Variance Committee on October 9th at 7 p.m. We're really happy that there's so many people here tonight to hear about this project, and I welcome any feedback you have. I think sharing your perspective with us in writing can really go a long way. My initial concerns is that's a really prominent location, and I'm not really sure that that's really the highest and best use for that property. It's a gateway into Clintonville, and even into Worthington if you go up to the north Indianola. So just wanted to share that, and please reach out to me if you have any comments on that project.
Thanks.
Josh Hively, District 8. On October 10th, I attended a second hearing for the proposed code changes regarding accessory dwelling units. I believe, I don't have a date, but I believe there's supposed to be a final reading of those this month, but I will look to see if I can find out when that is. I had an email from a neighbor who believes that their immediate neighbor is burning toxic wood inside of their indoor fireplace. So we're looking at avenues to see the legalities and health and environmental effects of that. And I did attend the open house hosted by Columbia Gas last night for an upcoming pipeline project. I don't believe directly related to what Commissioner Miller was just speaking of, but it will They are doing a new gas line from Coral Road all the way down Morrison, connecting over to Bethel. I believe that's a 2027 project, but they're in the early stages of planning that. So those are all my updates.
Just charitable.
Good evening, Brittany
Updates.
Bolton, District 5. We are going to be tabling at the Clintonville Women's Commission next Thursday from 5 to 7. If any other commissioners would like to join me, I know a couple of you aren't available, or any committee members, we would love to have you there to share information about what the Clintonville Area Commission does. Additionally, I secured the library on Thursday, December 4th at 6 p.m. prior to our normal monthly meeting. That's when we'll do our annual hygiene kit drive for unhoused neighbors. So I'll send out more information, but if you would like to participate, you can drop off items in advance if you coordinate a time with me, or feel free to come by that day and help us pack hygiene kits for neighbors who are unhoused, and those will be distributed by the CRC. Thank you.
Paul Lotto, District 1. The block watch on Tulane Road is expanded to all of District 1, which is kind of good. District 1 is south of Weber, east of High. And there are monthly meetings if those are interested in that district. They meet on 17 East Tulane, the little building behind Cup of Joe. Next one is Tuesday, October 7th at 7:30 p.m. That's all I have.
Mike Wyman, District 7, nothing to report.
And we're here. Turn it over to you.
Great. Commissioner Marks, do you have any additional notes on the minutes from our September meeting?
Got a few minor corrections, and I had a statement that Commissioner Miller made about the some of that.
Is there a motion to approve the September minutes?
So
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Thank you. We had a note that we didn't have a treasurer's report this month, but since you were able to join us tonight, Commissioner Miller, did you have an additional comments?
No changes from last month. We saw $1,420.07. And again, I encourage our committees to find useful ways to spend that money before we lose it.
Great. And I have an outstanding request to secure a banner for the Clintonville Area Commission when we do table community events to help with our visibility. So hopefully that will help ease up some of those expenses. Any questions for Commissioner Miller? Updates from the City of Columbus. I know we have a representative from the Department of Neighborhoods, Ms. Patel, if you would like to share.
Yes, thank you. Hello, my name is Stacey Biddle. I'm the neighborhood liaison for the Clintonville area. I just have 2 updates. Hopefully you all receive it in your email as well. Real simple ones, the 614 Beautiful Grant. The deadline to turn this in is on Monday. For more information, if you want to just whip up an application really fast before Monday, it's 614beautiful.org. Also, through the Department of Neighborhoods New American Program, we have a civic integration seed grant. The deadline for that is October 9th. This grant helps create access to funding for organizations that service New Americans to either help strengthen their capacity to serve or foster community building, youth engagement, civic education, and resource sharing efforts. Aimed at serving at new arrivals, the maximum grant amount is $10,000. For more information, just look up the New American Program at the Department of Neighborhoods website on City Police.
Any questions from commissioners?
I have a question.
Yep.
The last couple months, we've discussed parking and the inability to enforce parking restrictions in front of certain businesses on High Street. And we were going to explore the process to install parking meters to prevent overnight parking, which I think it's 3-hour parking is permitted, but it's not enforced. It's just me. So I was just wondering if we could continue to look into that.
Okay. I don't know the process yet, but I'm definitely find out. You can tell me. Sorcerer. That's all.
Any other questions from commissioners? Any questions from neighbors for Department of Neighborhoods? Thank you so much. I've been alerted that we do have someone from City of Columbus Division of Police with us this evening. Welcome.
Thank you.
Are you our new liaison?
No. Thank you for getting the bad news out of the way first. I am Officer Ortega. I'm with the Columbus Police Dialogue Team, and we do focus on protecting First Amendment activities. Before I go into my little minute speech, I do want to say that this is homecoming for me. I did go to Whetstone High School, graduated in '95, quarterback, past president. This was my library. There used to be a basketball court up there, and soccer battle center used to be over there too. I went to school with Keith. Anyway, I digress. But I've been an officer for 5 years this December, and before I was a Columbus police officer, I was a missions director. I've been to about 35 different countries doing different missions work and projects. Before that, my parents were also missionaries, and so I moved a lot, went to 14 different schools, from the East Coast to West Coast, North to South, where I finally moved here to Clintonville when I was a sophomore in high school. What I've learned in my journey is that each country, each city, each neighborhood, each person, household has their own identity and their own journey. And it's no different when it comes to First Amendment activities. It's not a bunch of mob of people screaming, ranting, raving. No, it's a bunch of individuals on their own journey that have come together for a common cause and to share their passions. Why I'm here is because you guys as community leaders, you know what the temperature is of your community, and I love this, that this is so well attended. You know when things are starting the temperature's starting to bubble up a little bit, and if I can, with the CLO, hopefully, I don't know what that is, address some of those things. But if it gets to a point where you need to get out, you need to take the streets, you need to go to City Hall, you need to go to the State House, or whatever street that may be, I'm going to be there to help protect that right for you guys to do that, and for everybody. So I'm going to make sure you guys have my information. If there's anything I can attend, anything where I can speak, or just be there, I'll do that. So thank you again for this time. If it comes to the end, I'll be here the whole time, so if it comes to the end, if I can answer any questions, I'll be doing that. I'm also going to leave my business cards here as well. I'll have my work style and email for everybody.
Thank you so much for being here. Are there questions from the commissioners for Officer Ortega?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Could you explain a little bit what facilitating First Amendment activities means to you?
What it means to me, it's a privilege. Columbus is the capital city, and there's so much passion, so much diversity. And we've gotten to see so much of myself. I've gotten to see 31 flavors, if you will, for the 2 years that I've been on Dialogue Team. And I'll give you a little example. Last summer, there was a contentious election in Venezuela. And there was a ripple effect all the way up here in Columbus where 300 to 400 Venezuelans went to the State House to protest that election. Right? That shows so much about the strength and the diversity that Columbus has. Another action, Mothers of Murdered Columbus Children was doing a community event where they were marching up High Street and they were going to have a memorial service at the State House. This was a permitted event. There was a lot of CPT involved, a lot of community involved. These mothers were just, it was amazing to see that they were using this tragedy to help promote something that hurts our community in the teen gun violence. So they're marching up High Street. As they're marching up High Street, there's another Venezuelan protest, the third one. Didn't know about it. There it was, 300 people. What do you think they are going to do when they see that march? Naturally, they're going to gravitate toward curiosity, right? What it looks like visually is it looks like about 300 demonstrators are going to come over and interrupt this Mothers of Murdered Columbus Children march as they just as about to do the memorial service. I went up ahead because of the work we do with Dialogue. I was able to find the community leader of that organization, and I talked to him and said, "Hey, this is what's about to go. This is about to happen right here." He's like, "I got you." He got all the people that were involved with that the Venezuelan action. He went through all of the steps to the State House for a group picture. He explained to them what was going on, and they were extremely respectful as Mothers of Murdered Columbus Children did their memorial service for the lost kids, and they continued on. So we work a lot with community leaders and organizational leaders to help facilitate their own event, and what doesn't keep police presence away. There has been a history of police presence escalating things at events. So with that, we're just a couple Dialogue officers, or maybe more depending on the event, we can help protect that. For everybody. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners? Any questions from neighbors for Officer Ortega tonight? Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. I believe we have someone from Zone In. Yes, welcome, please. I apologize, I didn't catch your name.
Yeah, Christopher Lohr, I'm the Assistant Administrator for the City of Columbus's Planning Division, Department of Development. And so I'm coming up to just give a brief update on Zone In. So we're doing the second phase of Zone In. If you recall, last year we adopted the first phase of Zone In on our primary corridors, which is the mixed-use new zoning districts that came through. Right now, we're looking at those secondary corridors, as well as our industrial and warehouse areas, and some of our institutional campuses. So think Nationwide, Children's, OSU, those kinds of areas. We came out to the Area Commission, not me, but some of my colleagues in the spring and summer to talk about what the future held. We're coming now to talk about what we did over the summer, which was engage folks on a map, which is the primary thing that we're looking to do. It covers around 40% of the entire city. So we wanted feedback on what made sense for those different corridors. You'll hear a little bit more about some of those corridors from our Gus folks. And in this month, coming up here soon, in October 10th, we will be having our 30-day comment period for that map that came out of that process, and as well as the Columbus Growth Strategy, which is a evolution of Columbus citywide planning policies. The idea is to move towards a citywide vision that incorporates some of our Link Us and other CODA routes, so we can expand opportunities for economic and housing opportunity. So making sure we have places where people can work and have good jobs, as well as places where they can have new housing to build. So, any questions about that?
Are there questions from commissioners to start? Questions from neighbors? I see one in the back, sir.
Yes, my name is Mr. Wilkins. Could you give me more details? Because I was involved with the Zone In process.
Yeah.
And also with Zone In with State Route 161. And also, could you tell me where would this be held at so people can go to 141 Front Street? Will you have that available for residents, Dresden residents, or community members can voice their concerns?
Absolutely. Good to see you again. It's
Yes,
at
sir.
East High School. That was a good workshop. So we had a few workshops, 4 workshops during the summer to kind of go out in the neighborhood and get that feedback. We're going to have a few more pop-ups coming up in October and in November, as well as an open house and kind of an info station, so you can come in and talk to a planner and see what we're working on. So those dates for our workshop, so pop-up, October 14th at MLK Library, October 21st at the Northern Lights Library. Our open house down at 141 that you just mentioned would be October 22nd. And then we will have a pop-up at Southside High Library on October 27th and on November 3rd at the Hilltop Library.
And also, I just want to say thank you is because I didn't think this was open to any visually impaired person or a totally blind person, because my wife came at the East High School and I had gave a lot of input, a lot of infrastructure and things and stuff like that. This had to be scored down to a lot of details because there was massive demolition over several years ago. I like the process that you have done, and I'm very pleased what's going to come through the Central Ohio Area Authority. So again, I want to thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions from neighbors?
I can leave my card here if you want to take it.
Thank you so much. And I believe City Council's representative has an ongoing conflict right now, so we'll touch base and share out. Am I missing any other city representatives that wanted to give an update tonight? Thank you again. We do have extra printed out agendas up here if anybody would like one. We've got a stack. I apologize, I was a few minutes late. Thank you. Next up, we will have a discussion about a presentation about the November City of Columbus bond package proposal and the zoo and aquarium levy campaign. I have the name Kane Murray here, and I apologize. I think we have a different presenter. If you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, go for it.
Yeah, Kane and I have split up a couple area commissions tonight, so this is how we're making it work. But my name is Alex Baker. I am I work on campaigns, and so I've worked on a few around the city for various electeds and on various issues, including the Link Us initiative last year. This year I'm working on the zoo levy and the City of Columbus bond package. So I'll start with the zoo levy, kind of run through just a quick couple points about it, take some questions, and then do the bond package. And obviously, time permitting, feel free to jump in if you need time back. So the zoo is going to be on the ballot this year. Election day is November 4th. It's issue 2. It is a renewal. It does not will not increase taxes. The zoo levy this year does not increase your taxes. It's the same rate that we've had since 2015, which was the passage of the last levy for the zoo and aquarium in Columbus, in Franklin County. This one will last until 2035. It's about $20 million a year, and it contributes to a pretty significant chunk of the zoo's budget, including animal health care, their maintenance, their preservation costs, and also it keeps our ticket costs, helps to keep our ticket costs low here, especially in Franklin County. We get a discount because of the levy that we help to support. So I'll just take some quick questions if there are any questions about the zoo levy. And I'll leave some literature over there for everybody to look at, and there's of course follow-up, there's a website and everything on there if you have anything that you think of later.
Okay, questions from commissioners? I see a question from a neighbor.
Yes.
Hi, has there been any thought about other surrounding counties doing levies to support the zoo?
Yeah, so there have been discussions, and I don't work for the zoo. I'm not in on all of those discussions. I can't speak to exactly where they are in that. Obviously, the zoo does exist just about under a mile inside the Delaware County line. Franklin County obviously has a significantly larger population than any of our surrounding counties by a very, very large percentage. It's also, we are here in Franklin County, the primary visitors of the zoo. Our students are the primary benefactors of the zoo. They participate in the majority of the programs. That's where a lot of the field trips are taking place. And a lot of the zoo employees also work and live in Franklin County. So yes, there is a discussion ongoing. I know about other counties contributing as well. Whether when and where and how that might happen, I don't know. But Franklin County, of course, is very much needed in order to support the zoo because of our large population and because of the benefits that we get from as a region from that economic support and education and all those things. So, any other questions? Okay, I'm going to move on to the Columbus bond package. So it's issues 5 through 9. It's 5 separate issues, but it's all part of one bond package. Also, will not raise taxes. This bond package will not raise any kind of taxes. It is for, let's see, at some point I'll be able to remember these. Public service, public utilities, rec and park, safety, health, and infrastructure, and the sort of new piece of the bond package this year. This is the third iteration of an affordable housing issue. This one is the largest by far. To have $500 million for affordable housing here in the city of Columbus. So I will leave information over there as well, but it will contribute to a lot of important things: infrastructure in the city of Columbus, our sewer system, water system, keeping clean and safe drinking water. It's also fire and police, some new facilities and new fire trucks for our first responders, some new equipment and new parks for our kids and families. And then of course, did I miss? Oh, street lights, sidewalks, those kinds of things. So any questions about that? Yes.
Is the sidewalk tied in with Link Us?
So yeah, the sidewalks involved in Link Us are primarily involved around transportation. So they are access to things like bus stops, crosswalks, and et cetera, transportation related. There is a significant portion of the Link Us plan, or a large portion of the Link Us plan that is sidewalks. This is more for safety related. So
this covers other areas that Link Us wouldn't touch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
What is affordable housing defined as? Because it seems to me like a lot of the developers say they're going to have affordable housing, and then it's really far more than they like a lot of what working people can afford. Mm-hmm. Plus, then after these things are approved, then it seems to me like the same developers are giving a lot of campaign contributions to city council members.
So as you can imagine, $500 million is a significant number of projects across the whole city, and it is different kinds of projects as well. So it's a variety of things. Some dense housing, which would be like apartment buildings, and also some single-family homes. So a lot of different types of investments there. And also, I know someone from zoning was here. that the changes in our zoning law allowed us to invest in housing in different ways. So, like for example, some duplexes and multifamily homes that aren't as dense as say a large apartment building. It is also investments in land, and it is working with developers to make sure that when we are developing new buildings, which we have to do to maintain and sustain the growth that Columbus has, that they invest in a portion of their new builds to be affordable housing, which, as you mentioned, of course, it depends on where we are talking about. Of course, all across the city of Columbus, it's mixed income neighborhoods and trying to invest in diversity in all kinds of ways. But it primarily focuses on the benefits cliff. Affordable housing in new builds primarily focuses on that. So when folks are making enough money to no longer receive a ton of social services, then affordable housing is focused on that workforce development section of our income in our neighborhoods. So there are also a list of projects you can see on the city website. I don't know all of them, and it's like I said, $500 million would take me a year to rattle off what they all are, but they are available. And of course, as they figure out more and more what those projects are going to look like over the next few years, they will be available for you to find. Yes.
But that doesn't really answer the question. What would the rents be at some of these? I mean, I own my own house, so I don't have to worry about rent. A lot of people, it's $2,000, $3,000. What is considered affordable?
Depends on the neighborhood that it's in. Depends on what type of housing it is. But obviously, if we don't invest in our housing here in the city of Columbus, everyone's cost of living goes up.
But it's not going to do the poor person any good if you can't define what it is.
Answering the question.
It just really depends. I mean, we are talking about thousands and thousands of units of housing being built. They will be at a variety of different costs and different types. So I can't really answer.
What's the lowest one?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Do we have any other questions for our neighbors? Yes, please. Sir.
How long are the bonds for, and what's the projected annual cost and the revenue source? If it doesn't raise taxes, what's the revenue source to pay for those?
So the city of Columbus has two sources of funding that go into one pot to cover our bonds. One is a small percentage of our income tax in the city of Columbus, and the other is a small percentage of our utilities go into one pot to pay for these bonds over time. The voted portion is essentially voters saying, I approve of my city to levy these bonds, and I trust my city to repay the bonds. The city of Columbus has never defaulted on any bonds in the history of our city, and we haven't levied any property taxes to pay for something like that since the 50s. So it's been a very long time. Our city also has a AAA rating for issuing bonds, which is very, very obviously the best you can get, very high, very unusual for a city of our size. So voters can obviously trust that the city will be able to repay these. What the time frame is, I don't think there's a specific time frame. They're repaid over, I think, I don't actually know. I don't know the exact time frame. They're repaid over a period of years. What was the last part of your question?
How much will they cost every year in principal and interest, and what's that revenue source?
That I don't know either. I don't know the answer to that question. It's interest.
They can't pay.
So we can send out any additional follow-up over our website. Any additional questions?
It will not cost the voters any additional fee. Questions? Yes.
I just want to know with this bond package, is this something in this bond package for the disability and blind folks? Because I know this is not mentioned all the time. Could you explain this more to me? It seems like there's a lot of disability folks or getting left out, or disability visually impaired population. Well, those homes will be built for these people around town, because it seems like we are being left out of this. When you talk about $500,000, will there be affordable housing for those type of people that's on a fixed income at a poverty level of 30%, 20%, or 10%? And also looking at the people that's getting out of incarceration, recovering addicts and all that. So will there be separate houses for this? This is all for a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. There are a lot of different projects and programs. I will say primarily it's between 30 and 80% AMI is the focus, and it obviously varies depending on the neighborhood, depending on the type of housing. As far as ADA compliance, in housing, new builds do take that into account. I don't know if that will apply to every type of housing, but certainly for apartments, they take ADA compliance into account. And then also when we're talking about public safety, so things like sidewalks, streetlights, crosswalks, those types of things, those definitely also take ADA compliance into account as they're being built. Yeah.
We have time for one more question, if there's another question around the bond package. Great.
I'll leave some information over there. Feel free to.
Four. He just needs one for that. Okay. Thank you for being here. We have representatives on the agenda next from Link Us with an update this evening. Welcome.
We'll be done afterward. If anybody would like these seats, you're more than welcome.
Okay. And did you have the? Good evening, everybody. My name is Zach Starlin. I'm with CODA, and today we'll be providing a brief overview of Link Us, a quick update, and then I'll turn it over to Josh, who is the project manager of the Northwest Corridor, to provide a little bit more updates. We know there's a full agenda tonight, so if there's any, obviously we can have some questions, but as always, if you're looking for more information, I encourage you to check out our website at linkuscolumbus.com. We just released a progress report with a lot of information about what we've done the last couple months. So the Link Us initiative is really Central Ohio's mobility and growth initiative. With the successful ballot issue 47 last November, a lot of these projects can move forward with that successful ballot, which was about 57% of credit service area. So we're really looking out to the year 2050, so 25 years from now, what CODA can do with our network with this additional resources. So building off of the existing services that we have, we operate about 40 different fixed route bus lines, and we have 3 different CODA Plus zones. And we also currently offer our mainstream paratransit service for folks with ADA challenges. But building off of that, we're looking to expand 8 more CODA Plus zones within our service area. Right now our current zones are in the south side of Columbus, Grove City, and Westerville. So we're looking to add 8 more zones out to 2050, and that's really on demand. So similar to Uber and Lyft, if you haven't used it, you can use an app to do point-to-point within certain zones. In addition, we're looking to expand our fixed route services, so new and improved lines, longer span. So back in May, we increased our service to midnight, and we hope to, over the next few years, build up to a 24-hour like service, at least an hourly frequency in those earlier hours. And then the biggest piece with Link Us is 5 rapid transit corridors, which right now we have 3 in design, West Broad Corridor, East Main Corridor, and tonight we're here to talk about an update with the Northwest Corridor. In addition, there's, in the Link Us financial model out to 2050, there is money for 2 additional corridors, and we hope to do a feasibility study within the next year to figure out where those would go. Ultimately, adding to about 45% more service. So that's really the transit components of Link Us. If you want to go to the next slide. So looking in the near future, like I said, 3 of those corridors are in design, West Broad, East Main, and Northwest. And then one of the non-transit specific components is a piece called Transit Supportive Infrastructure, what we refer to as TSI. So a portion of the additional funding that was passed in November is specifically dedicated towards sidewalks, bikeways, trails, and greenways. So in the first 5 years of Link Us, starting in 2026, there's a 5-year CIP that includes 83 different projects throughout CODA's service area. And they're ranging from large trail projects to small sidewalk projects, even some bus shelters are included in that. Ultimately leading to 150 miles. And this is just in the first 5 years. So out to 2050, we hope to see up to 500 miles throughout our service area built with this Link Us Transit Support Infrastructure Funds. You go next slide. So I talked about the next 5 years, next 25 years, but really in the immediate future, next year we're rolling out a new line called Line 30, which will connect OSU to Upper Arlington to Hilliard and out to Dublin. We've been getting this request for a long time, so we're happy to be able to move that forward next September. currently mapping out where the route will go and where those bus stops are. And we have seen some ridership increases this year. Like I said, in May we rolled out midnight service, and we've seen an uptick about 10% or 9%, or actually 17% in just May alone. Right now we operate with 3 different service changes a year: January, May, and September. We're hoping to, over time, increase our services and increase our frequency and spend. Go next slide. And now I'll turn it over to Josh to really dive into the Northwest Corridor. And yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Great. Yeah, next slide. So the Northwest Corridor Bus Rapid Transit, it really plays into everything that Zach was talking about with an interconnected, multimodal, robust transit system for the future as we gain over 1 million residents and the jobs that go along with that in the decades to come. So the key element with Bus Rapid Transit, this will be a premier transit corridor, and I think premier is the really key word on what the purpose of these corridors are, to really form a backbone for this interconnected multimodal network. The Northwest Corridor Bus Rapid Transit project is currently planned to be about 10 miles. This would travel from downtown Columbus up Olentangy River Road up to Bethel Road. About 65%, 6.4 miles of that would be what's called dedicated transit way. So this provides reliable service no matter how much traffic is on the road. People who are riding the BRT know when they're going to get to their destination. It'll have center running transit lanes and center boarding in a variety of instances. It'll have frequent and reliable service, and this is actually phase 1 of what's planned to be a multi-phase process going out to Dublin in the Northwest Corridor. So what we're talking about now is part of a future vision for more BRT in the future. What we're here talking to you about today and talking to other community groups is that we are reaching a milestone of what's called 30% design in early 2026. So that's just where we start to think about what's the nature of this corridor. Obviously 30% is not 100%, so there will be subsequent design phases after that. The Northwest Corridor Bus Rapid Transit, it really connects a variety of activity centers. So when we think going through Olentangy River Road, Woody Hayes, Lane Avenue through West Campus, when you think about Riverside Hospital, when you think about a lot of the OSU medical facilities, going down right through the Arena District and then into downtown. This really connects some of the largest employers, some of the largest job hubs in the region. Part of these 3 networks of bus rapid transit corridors that will converge downtown. Thinking about in context what it looks like to have those transit stations in the middle of the road. This is right around the Lenox area, around 3rd and 5th, widening out the road, having new transit lanes going down the middle of the road with the transit station right in the middle really provides that minimum conflict, that premium transit service that follows national best practices for bus rapid transit around the country. Those center station platforms, those transit ways, are largely through the heart of the corridor. So when we think about going through West Campus of OSU, going across Riverside Hospital, that's where we're going to see these center running transit lanes, the variety of service there. Next one. And then when we get to the northern end, further around, as we get up towards Bethel Road, the nature of the corridor changes, the context, similar to downtown, allows us to have those side running stations. So we plan the BRT corridor to fit within the context of the nature of the surrounding neighborhoods. Bus rapid transit is really technology forward. So an example of technology that's used on these is what's called transit signal priority. This is technology that's on the bus. It's also on the traffic signal that it can actually extend green times as the bus is going through. So then you could have that consistency, that reliability, that prioritization for the vehicle that's really driving people through the corridor in a consistent manner. We see this across the country, across the world, but also with our neighbor to the north. An example there is the Health Line. That's an example of a bus rapid transit project that over a decade ago, they reconstructed the road, they prioritized transit, adjacent to a lot of economic development, some of the major hospital systems, very similar to what we see along the Northwest Corridor. A study was done a decade after that construction was done, almost $10 billion in economic development. So, when we think about 1 million new residents in the decades to come, trying to drive certain priority corridors for transit, for economic development, for growth, builds on the zone in that we were hearing about earlier. There's a lot of excitement for a project like this. Our next steps are that we, in the months around right now, in fall 2025, we're meeting with a variety of community groups along the corridor, adjacent to the corridor. In recent weeks, we've engaged over 1,000 students, staff, faculty around Ohio State University. We were at a community meeting last night and will continue getting the word out about the project. After that, then we will proceed through Federal Transit Administration processes, funding processes, as well as environmental processes that are required as we refine this design in the years to come. And then it'll ultimately launch what's estimated now in 2031 to be operational. If anyone has any additional questions, linkuscolumbus.com is the website that you could go. There is a comment form that you can fill out as you read more about it, that you can provide your input if you'd like. And we're happy to answer any questions here as well.
Thank you. Are there questions from commissioners or the Linkus team?
I have several.
Great.
On a single priority, I was watching the videos you guys posted up, and it seems like the buses have to wait for left turners. And to me, it seems like the bus should have a priority, especially if it's loaded with 50, 60 people. Why should it have to wait for a couple people making a left turn? It seems like the bus should go first.
That's a great point. That's the type of thing, so that may have been one example of how it works. It could work in a variety of ways. So due to the nature and context of the intersection.
It's the third rod, I think. You know, it was one of the East Main ones, I think. Recent one.
Yep, so it's all just context sensitive. So I can't speak to that one, but in different instances, you could do it in a variety of ways.
Yeah, it's not transit signal preemption, unfortunately, so it's not like a railroad that goes through where everything has to stop when it comes by. The transit signal priority is really about keeping the bus on schedule. So there's certain criteria that triggers at certain intersections, and obviously we're working heavily with traffic engineers to make sure it's working appropriately.
You guys figure out what to do with the knuckles? Lennox and down in
the knots.
The knots.
I like calling them the knuckles. Those are also under design. Those are going through a design process as well, separate from the Northwest Corridor, but in conjunction with coordination.
And one final question, Dakota guy talked about more frequency. I think the number 4 in Indianola is still every half hour, and High Street 1 is what, every 15 maybe? 20 minutes. What is the frequency of those lines going to increase?
Yeah, so, well, actually, we're about to be undergoing a short-range transit plan to look at it for the next 5 years. So we should have some engagement early next year where we can come up with, do those service changes, what makes sense. So looking at ridership data, looking at different lines to see what line is over capacity and where can we move that frequency. So I'll take that request back, looking at the line 4. I know that before the pandemic, line 4 during rush hour was like 15 minutes. Yeah. So unfortunately, since then it hasn't been back to what it was before the pandemic. But often look at how many hours do we have and how many hours operators we have, and how we can phase this over time and improve lines that need it.
And I heard 4 and 15, is that correct?
4 and 2.
4 and 2.
4 and 2, yeah.
Because I will do that.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Any other questions from commissioners or the Linkus presenters? Questions from neighbors? I think I just saw a hand.
Yes, 1 and 2.
So that I like that this is centered on people who live here, but like, what about the airport? Is that like, I mean, it's an hour and a half. It's a 20-minute drive from almost anyone close to the airport. It's an hour and a half on the bus. Is that at all priority to get people from the bus to downtown or to Ohio State or the other way? I would take that every day if I didn't have to. Ubers just, we need to go much faster.
Yeah, so like I said, we have 3 in design right now. None of them go to the airport, but we do have additional funding for 2 more. We know that the airport connection has been brought up in previous studies as an important connection. So something from downtown to the airport, perhaps out to Easton or further out northeast, has been identified as something that wants to be studied.
Okay.
So
Cool.
definitely, thanks for the feedback.
And then so you had a question, right?
Yes, I would like to know the technology for the visually impaired and blind. I've been a heavy code writer for 51 years, where they'll give me the landmarks where I need to get off at. I need some couple questions to be answered. So this thing that you have coming out for the future, will it be the same make and model where they list the bus stops and where to get off at, what destination? My main concern is the disability and blind folks. So could you explain more about this, how this is going to follow with technology? If a person gets on and they want to get off at a location, so if you can explain to me about that, how is the security going to work on this, and what the safety factors is for the visually impaired and blind, and also for the wheelchair accessibility? Because I see you got these things down Cleveland Avenue, and my main concern is an elderly person walking, standing there. So we have to have some safety being put in place in this. So I thank you for your time on this.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the, you mentioned wheelchair boarding. One of the fantastic elements of this is level boarding. So when you get on a COTA bus now, they can lower a ramp, the hydraulics get lower. Here, it'll be like if you've ever ridden a train in another city, where you just go right on. It's all level. So that'll be a fantastic amenity. For the other elements, I would imagine it's very similar to COTA's technology right now on many of their buses, but I would think that's something that we could absolutely engage with in the future down the line.
Yeah, there's tons of different elements on the stations that we're looking to, like tactile strips on the ground. And obviously we're not the first ones to roll out these type of elements at the station, so definitely learning from best practices from what we've seen around the country, including things like Southline.
And also, I would love to see some type of braille copy, because you have a lot of people that's visually impaired and blind that needs a lot of braille. And I come to find out, me and my wife belongs to the Disability Act group for visually impaired population. So now they'll start giving out braille copies. And so I don't know if that can be feasible back to your agency to make sure you have information and large print and braille.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any other questions from neighbors this evening for the Linkus staff? Staff? Thank you so much for being here this evening. I see folks standing in the back. We do have a couple chairs. You're welcome to filter in and be seated. And Commissioner Lee Osborne is absent. If somebody would like to take this chair, they're welcome to. Just move it around.
There are some cookies available as well.
I brought them.
Happy birthday.
We'll begin by certifying our districts 2, 6, and 8, which were unopposed elections. This was an oversight. We should have certified them last month during our meeting, so I apologize. I filled out the form, but I didn't make the motion. So thank you, incoming Commissioner Arnold, for being here. I'll start with them just in numerical order. I will move that Commissioner Arnold's election be certified. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Congratulations, Commissioner Arnold. Next, we have, and these are two incumbent is the word I'm looking for, commissioners. So Commissioner Moritz for District 6 ran unopposed. And that was in our normal election. Commissioner Arnold ran in a special election due to Commissioner Nutter's untimely passing. So next, I will move to certify the election results for Commissioner Moritz to District 6. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Congratulations, Commissioner Moritz. Thank you for continuing to serve. And next up, District 8, Commissioner Higley also ran unopposed. I will move that his election be certified as well. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, congratulations, thank you for continuing to serve. Next, we'll move on to the District 3 election, and I am going to read a brief statement to share exactly where we are this evening. Thank you to all of our candidates and our neighbors for your patience with this process. As we tabled the CAC's review of the appeal to the Elections Committee ruling on a complaint regarding the District 3 election during last month's meeting. We'll now describe the scope and process of the CAC tonight before we begin discussion. Pursuant to the CAC bylaws, Section 8, Elections, E1 on page 16, District 3 candidate Joel Ronchke submitted a complaint in a timely fashion noting that candidate Will Platt campaigned on site at the library in violation of Section 7G of the CAC election rules, which states that no person shall engage in any campaigning within 100 feet of the entrance of the building used by voters at the polling place during the time the poll is open on election day. The Elections Committee reviewed the complaint and decided not to sustain it, meaning that the election results would stand. However, within the allowable time outlined in CAC bylaws Section 8, Elections, E2 on page 16, candidate Jordan Tickner appealed the Election Committee's decision. The same section prescribes that the Commission shall consider the appeal as a special order of business at its next regular meeting after receiving the appeal. The complaint is sustained if a majority of the commissioners present and eligible vote to sustain the complaint. The Commission shall issue a written decision of the appeal within 5 days after hearing the appeal, but may issue an oral decision sooner. Resolution of any election-related dispute by the Commission is final. We tabled this decision last month to seek guidance from our City Attorney's Office to ensure that we're following all the proper processes. The term of the incoming District 3 Commissioner has not been impacted as they will not be seated until January, so no meetings have been missed. What we are determining tonight is whether the complaint is sustained. The complaint is sustained if a majority of the commissioners present and eligible to vote find the irregularity was of sufficient magnitude to cast doubt on the overall election results. If so, the election results should be vacated and a new election held. The complaint is not sustained if a majority of the commissioners present and eligible to vote find the irregularity was not of sufficient magnitude to cast doubt on the overall election results. If so, the election results will stand. All commissioners present tonight, all 7 of us, are eligible to vote. I will invite the candidates up to share their comments about the complaint shortly. The CAC will then be able to ask them questions, and there will be time for public comment. We will be limiting comment to 4 minutes per person so that everyone has a chance to speak and we can accomplish our zoning agenda. I will set a timer for fairness. Of note, there is currently a code of conduct for sitting commissioners in Section 10 of the Department of Neighborhoods bylaws, as well as in the CAC bylaws, Section 1E, page 2. There is not currently a code of conduct for candidates. The CAC will not be addressing online forum comments tonight, and our Elections Committee has graciously volunteered to develop a code of conduct for candidates during their upcoming annual rules review process. Please keep comments relevant to the decision at hand, whether the CAC should sustain or dismiss the complaint that the violation was of significant enough magnitude as to vacate the election results. And we will first hear from Mr. Platt, is the only candidate that I see out there tonight from the district, so we'll hear from him first before we accept public comment. Are there any questions from commissioners about this process? Commissioner Wyman.
Can we get the names and addresses for any public comment?
Fine with you.
Can somebody write it down then? We have a piece of paper. Sure.
Great. Mr. Platt, would you, oh, Mr. Marks?
Can we make it 2 minutes?
Can we make it 2 minutes? How about I meet you at 3?
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Platt.
Thank you, Chair Dalton.
Cool.
I want to start off by thanking the Clintonville community who came out to support me today. For the folks in here, you may not know, but there was about another 100 people outside. So just got finished talking with those individuals. But more importantly, folks came out to support their right to pick a representative of their choosing. I intentionally brought my children here today. Where's Malin?
Down the playground.
Well, this is all about a lesson. To teach them a lesson about why it's important to stand up to bullies, that your vote matters, and most importantly, that when something happens that's not right, the power to make it right comes from bringing community together. The greatest things we do on earth, we do together. I am honored to have received the overwhelming support in District 3 as the candidate that almost got more votes than all 3 of the other candidates combined. It wasn't a vote for me. It was a vote to send a message to the city that for far too long, City Hall's public policy decisions have prioritized a small group of economic interests and campaign donors over community and neighborhood interests. No one is against development, and we are against the lack of democracy and meaningful neighborhood input. I also want to thank the Chair Melissa Dole for her unbiased work on this issue, and I want to thank Chair Brittany Bolton, who operated in a professional manner at the last meeting. I have no objection to the work of the Election Committee or the Area Commission for investigating the allegations. It is their responsibility to do so. The Election Committee's investigation and conclusions are clear, concise, and entirely unbiased. Their ruling states that complaints do not merit disqualification based on the facts, and it states that there was no math, even under the most extreme circumstances, that would have altered the outcome. In America, you don't rerun elections just because you don't like the outcome, or because you don't like someone else's opinion. The City Attorney's Office provided the Area Commission with guidance on this matter that states that the only way they can legally overturn an election and rerun it requires that the violation was, quote, of sufficient magnitude to cast doubt on the overall election results, and if not, the election results should stand. No reasonable person reading the Election Committee's decision could infer that standing on the wrong side of an invisible line for a short period of time and talking to a small number of people and handing them a flyer could have even come close to altering the election. When the chair of the committee told me that the line was further out, I politely apologized and it said I would move further out, but decided that it probably was done poll standing anyway. The Election Committee acknowledges that there was no publicly identified line for poll standing, and there was no one basically coming in to vote for the first 45 minutes when I was out there, very few people. And I made the rational conclusion that anyone who's taking time out of their day to early vote for an office like this is not a persuadable voter. They are coming out to support their friends and neighbors or have an issue like the lack of democracy in the city. I couldn't even persuade my wife while poll standing. But alas, she had already made up her mind. There were some pretty unfair criticisms of me for my dishwashing abilities and where I put my dirty clothes, and what that says about me as a commissioner. So I couldn't get her vote. It was unfortunate. As everyone in this room knows, poll standing is a common practice. You see it every time you go to vote in person. Go ahead and ask the Franklin County Board of Elections how they handle an issue like this, and they'll tell you that they handle it the same way the Election Committee handled it. They ask folks to move further out, and everyone moves on. I'm a busy guy. I work long hours supporting and protecting teachers, bus drivers, secretaries from the very type of behavior some of the individuals on this board engaged in last month. On top of that, I'm a family man, and I treasure the time that I spend with my wife and my 2 children. I also play in a bluegrass band. Shout out to the bluegrass, or the Platt Family Hootenanny. Most of them were outside, and almost everyone is either grew up in Clintonville or currently lives in Clintonville. I hold fundraisers for important organizations like the Columbus Spotlight, help hold the Walhalla Bigfoot Festival, more commonly known as Squashmas, which for those who are interested is this coming November 15th. So go check out and look for a Bigfoot down in the ravine. Going on a bear hunt parade for kids, and I host a gnome-themed festival that teaches kids about gardening, the importance of play, and community. I also help my wife put on community Jewish holiday celebrations in the neighborhood. And I want to thank anyone who is Jewish here a Happy New Year. Today is the holiest day of the year within the Jewish religion. And I will say, when elected, one of the things I do want to do is pass a resolution to make sure that the large religious holidays that our diverse community celebrates does not impair them from coming here today. I can't tell you how many people said they could not come here today because of the decision to hold this on this day. I also serve in the leadership committee of the largest staff union in the country, on a committee that organizes staff workers, the National Staff Organization. Until I'm seated in January, I'll try and make some of these meetings, but I can't promise I can make all of them. I'm a busy guy, and until I'm seated, I will be here at every one of those meetings, but I've got so many other projects I can't always be here. So I just happened to attend the last meeting. So you can imagine my surprise when an issue not listed on the agenda was debated. I was called to testify for a complaint appeal I had never seen, and lectured and berated by a subset of the commissioners on issues ranging from my political positions, their personal mastery of election guidelines, and threats to sanction me for my political speech that they did not like that I said on Facebook. The actions of the Area Commission at this last meeting continue to be deeply troubling. The Area Commission acted in its official capacity under the city charter, and I believe the Area Commission repeatedly violated their own constitution and bylaws, parliamentary procedures, and their obligations to provide candidates with due process as outlined both in the election committee decision and the election handbook, something you all should have read and understood. If you look at the agenda for the last meeting, it just had a thing saying that there was going to be a report on the decision to basically not agree to disqualify me based on the initial allegation. It did not include any appeal, which is clearly a separate agenda item. Something that had the public known, or if I had known, maybe people would have come to that meeting. I think there were about 10 people at that meeting. There are a few more today. I don't believe a motion, a second, or a vote was made to add the appeal to the agenda, and even had they done so, it would have been unethical to do without informing the public and the candidate whose appeal it relates to, particularly when it relates to some commissioners' attempts to undermine a free and fair election. Any discussion of appeal was therefore out of order, parliamentary procedure, the Commission's constitution and bylaws, and potentially the city charter. I was also denied what's called due process. I was given no notice of the appeal, not an opportunity to respond, in direct violation of the Commission's own election procedures as it relates to due process, which requires prior notice. Due process requires the following standards. The Commission must provide timely notice of the complaint, hearing, or decision. After receiving the complaint, the Commission made no effort to inform me, did not inform the public in the agenda they published. The notice should have included the nature of the complaint or action, the specific rules or regulations alleged to have been violated, the time and place, and the procedures for the hearing. Under due process, you are also required to have an opportunity to be heard. The affected parties must give meaningful opportunities to present evidence, make arguments, and respond to the other side. This may include presenting witnesses or written statements, challenging evidence submitted against them, and asking questions of opposing witnesses if allowed. None of this was provided to me. Another portion of due process that was clearly violated repeatedly at the last meeting was impartial decision-making. The decision must be made in an unbiased, neutral tribunal. Any conflict of interest, such as commissioners advocating for a particular outcome before the hearing of the case, can violate due process. Statements made by the commissioners during the discussion demonstrated clear bias and intimidation. These actions are inconsistent with the Commission's quasi-judicial role and deny a fair hearing and due process. No judge or arbitrator would look at these facts and rule that anything close to due process was met. I don't want to be presumptuous, but
We are running short on time for the amount of witnesses, if you could wrap it up.
yeah, I've got just a little bit more.
It looks like a lot more, so
I don't.
if you could summarize it a little bit, that'd be great.
I don't want to be presumptuous, but my guess is that most people in this room would argue that violating Ohio statutory law concerning public meetings and violating your own constitution and bylaws are significantly more serious than being on the wrong side of a invisible line. I stand by the statements that there was an attempt to undermine a free and fair election. Joel and the other candidates publicly explained in detail how they wanted to do it to the entire room. They demanded a rerun. They stated their plan was to have Joel and Tom drop out and endorse Jordan. Tom publicly stated that he was trying to do it because he didn't like my comments on Facebook. There is nothing unprofessional or inappropriate about stating what everyone in this room already knows. Nor do you have the right to threaten, intimidate someone who is not even on the area commission at this time in an attempt to police criticism or opinions you don't like. 3 or 4 of you lined up to attack me because you didn't like that I called out Joel. Members of the commission publicly expressed their desire to overturn the election and repeatedly publicly linked my Facebook post to a vote to either rerun the election that these commissioners were going to vote on. These attacks were unprofessional, unethical, and outside the scope of an already improperly placed agenda item and damages the credibility of the positions you hold. You may not like me. You may not like my opinions. You may not get upset your friends didn't win. But just like Trump, you don't get to game the system, you don't get to rerun an election with clear outcomes, and you don't get to violate the rights of your neighbors. Not in this room, and certainly not in Clintonville. To my son and daughter, the lesson I hope you take away from today is that most bullies are paper tigers. They puff out their chest, they may try and lecture you, belittle you, and gang up on you. But behind all their attempts to scare, there really isn't anything there. When you face them in life, you stand up to them, whether in school, in the workplace, or in the public square. Your community will always have your back, and in most cases, the bullies don't get what they want when their actions are brought into the public light. My requests in this process are simple. Clearly and unequivocally reject attempts to overturn a free and fair election. As a community, we are better than that. Publicly apologize, number 2, publicly apologize to the Clintonville community for violating your own policies governing public meetings and your failure to provide the obligation to due process to candidates without bias. Once again, I want to thank the Clintonville community, my family, the press, and my friends and neighbors for coming out tonight. This isn't about me. This is about Clintonville and rebuilding democracy in a city and standing up so that people can pick the representative of their choosing. And I want to say thank you all very much for attending this important meeting.
Thank you for your comments. Questions from commissioners? Great. At this time, we'll proceed to public comment, which I do think we actually are going to have to limit to 2 minutes at this point. Chair Hardwick?
I disagreed with him. I'm one of the people who disagreed with him on Facebook, but I also can confirm what he said about the way elections are run. I've managed a voting location for the Franklin County Board of Elections for about 5 years now, and when people come up, cross that 100-foot line, we shoo them away. And we would never, if we canceled all elections because of that, we wouldn't have anyone elected to anything anytime. So he got the most votes. I've disagreed with him, but he got the most votes, and that's it. I think you've been fair, but any lack of due process the last time, you tabled it and gave him the chance to make his case here to have people show up. So I think you've been fair to him that way. And I appreciate your work. I appreciate the work of the election committee. I've been on that. It's hard, but he won. Thanks.
Thank you, and I'll just encourage other neighbors to keep their comments specific to the complaint at hand, as Chair Hardwick did. Chair Hardwick lives on
Clinton Heights Avenue.
Thank you. Please raise your hand and I'm happy to call on you. Yes.
Our leader, West Schreier, I've been poll standing since I was 5 years old through quiet elections and through contentious elections where even police showed up at the poll standing. And in none of those instances was there ever this remedy, which is you rerun the election. So it's always been, this is the line, if there even is a line, and you just enforce it. So I just don't think that you're gonna wanna open it up to rerun the election.
Thanks very much for your comments and for being here. Yes. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Brenda Dinsco.
Can I get your address, please?
Yeah, I live on Kensington Place.
Sorry?
I live on Kensington Place.
Thanks.
So, Mr. Clark clearly broke a rule. I don't know if that was wise of him to take shots at the people who were about to vote on Motor Avenue election. Having said that, it was pretty clear at the last meeting that the maximum number of votes was something like 7. And his margin of victory was, by my count, 23 votes. So under the standard to throw out the original election and have a new election, the math just doesn't add up.
Thanks very much. Other neighbors? Yes, please.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sheriff. I'm in District 3, live on Walhalla Road. I didn't know about the election because I'm not on social media, so I don't really have a bone to pick in this because I didn't know what's happening. But I just had a question. In your decision, you used a factors weighting test that talks about a violation must be intentional and egregious, conduct must materially affect the integrity or outcome of the election, and the candidate must be afforded due process.
What document are you reading from?
I'm reading your decision.
The election committee decision?
Yeah, the election committee decision. I'm curious, like, where that came from, because in the rules, the election rules, it says before the committee certifies the election results, the committee shall disqualify. There's no option. It doesn't say may disqualify. It doesn't say should use a factors weighting test to determine the egregiousness of the conduct. Your own rules say shall disqualify potential candidate or candidate who is ineligible to serve due to death, withdrawal of candidacy, lack of residency, or any other reason in violation of these rules. So it's pretty clear to me that there's not a choice as to whether or not I don't think you have a choice, but to disqualify a candidate who breaks the rule. That's how they're written. That may not, people may not think that's fair, but that's how I see it. And I'm curious, like, where you got the test. You were just talking about, talks about sufficient magnitude. Now you're using a sufficient magnitude test. None of these are in any of the documents on your website as far as the election rules, the rules for this board. So I'm curious about that.
Thank you. I saw Chair Dahl's hand.
Yeah, I can speak. It's an excellent point that you make, that you're citing the election rule and the disqualification factors. We did get into that language as an election committee, and you'll note that the disqualifying factors were specified for residency, for example, but it was silent as to this issue of, the restricted zone. So we did get into
It says shall disqualify if someone breaks a rule. It says you shall disqualify. It's not a choice.
Let her finish. And it specified several factors and then had a broad statement and other violations of the rules. We did get into some interpretation there and decided that the restricted zone, wasn't specified, and we did interpret it not to include that. But it's a good point. Sometimes rules are not drafted, particularly well. There could be some wordsmithing issues. That's how we came to our conclusion in this case.
I'm a lawyer, and that's how I came to my conclusion.
I would love if you would consider volunteering on the elections committee in that case, because we are completely volunteer run on all of our committees, and more community participation is always encouraged. Thank you very much for bringing that up.
I would also say, we look to outside factors as well. And the Board of Elections, as people have mentioned, when there's an issue, we did look into that. And there is no rule, if you violate the restricted zone with the Board of Elections, that you're automatically disqualified or there's an impact on the election. There's like a separate ethics board that looks at that. So that was an outside factor that we brought in when we interpreted that particular provision that he's citing and how we arrived at our conclusion too as a consideration.
Thank you for explaining the context, Chair Dahl. Are there other public comments from neighbors this evening? Yes, sir.
Yes, being a lawyer isn't necessarily.
We get your name and address, please.
Rick Wilhelm, Stephen Drive.
Thank you.
Being a lawyer isn't necessarily pertinent to this because Trump has plenty of lawyers, and you can tell they can just say whatever he tells them to say. So that by itself isn't really that mean.
Thank you for your comment. Are there additional comments from neighbors this evening? So the question. Oh, I'm sorry. Please.
Scott Lindsay, East Como. I've lived there since 2012. Will is the first candidate in my entire time living there who actually reached out to me, asked for my vote, has been involved in the community this entire time. I think would be an asset to this board. Last time I was here was when the bike lanes happened and my voice was not heard and residents were not protected and we were less safe. So I think having someone who actually cares about families is very important for our community.
Thank you for your comment, and let's keep comments to the complaints at hand and not whether we like the candidate. Yes, please.
I would just say that if
Name and address, please.
Could you do?
My name is Perry Savity. I've lived for 37 years in Clintonville on Morningside Drive.
Thank you.
I would just say that if the commission is going to be this precise about a 100-foot rule with no notice, there might be a number of other rules around holding an election in a way that is more controlled. We did not have numbered ballots. We had slips of paper. We put them in plastic boxes. The boxes were not sealed, and there was no formal election, right? There were less than 100 votes. Now, I understand this is a community election that we don't see a lot of people come out for. Maybe it's because we hold it in the middle of August, and it's on a Wednesday night and a Saturday morning. Maybe if there was a little more publicity, or we actually thought the area commission had some more than advisory function here, that might bring more people out to vote. But I would argue that holding this 100-foot thing as a reason to disqualify a candidate is absolutely inappropriate when you're running an election the way you'd run an election in your living room, or, seriously. And I was trying to say, like Stephen Hardwick, for the last 10 years, I've been a voting location manager for the Franklin County Board of Elections. I know how to run an election, there's no questions.
Thank you very much for your comments. I would strongly encourage you to volunteer for the Elections Committee, who I think has put in a ton of time and effort into being as fair and precise as possible. And I would encourage anybody who is bringing criticisms to bring them forward and put their time into their community as well. Chair Dahl.
Yeah, I'd just like to bring up just a quick, something in the record that we followed the ballot procedures and election rules. The ballots are numbered on the back. The boxes were metal boxes, not cardboard. They had each had a key lock. They stayed locked throughout the election cycle. So I don't know, maybe you went to a different election than the one we administered, but I just wanted to highlight some of those aspects.
Thank you for sharing that, and your time and effort and precision does not go unnoticed. And any rules that the Elections Committee utilizes have been approved by the Area Commission. So ultimately, if you would like to complain to anybody, please direct those at us. Yes, please share your name and address, please, before your comment.
Margaret Sullivan, Torrance Road. I've been a Clintonville resident since 1975, and I have attended over those many years a few area commission meetings for various reasons. I just would like a clarification, and I'm having trouble hearing some of what's being said, the acoustics or whatever. What qualifies as a sufficient magnitude for breaking a rule that would require a candidate to be eliminated, or if somebody said that already, I missed it.
It's up to the commission's interpretation. So it's up to the commissioner's interpretation
So-
of sufficient magnitude. If you want it.
So what would be an example of a rule that would be of sufficient magnitude?
I think perhaps I'm spinning here and just coming up with something on the fly, but please, sure. Mr.
Robert Tobias, legal counsel for the commission. I would advise not to get into hypotheticals.
Sorry.
No, he encouraged you not to. He encouraged you not to
Wait
create
a minute though, because
No,
if you're going to use that as a legitimate
Yes.
reason for denying him
Yes.
his just
Your
rights
question,
as
your
the
question
elect-
is your serious,
Yeah,
and,
right.
and we're going to
Because
answer it. We're encouraging it not to create a
As a
hypothetical.
mom, I think crossing a line, can be interpreted a lot of different ways, depending on the person who's doing it and the person who's judging that person.
Thank you.
So I have an issue with this arbitrary determination of what is sufficient magnitude to create this kind of a problem. Here's my concern. Obviously, people who came out to vote for him did so because they wanted to see him fulfill this position. And so isn't that doing them a disservice by throwing out some minuscule reason, arbitrary reason, to say that crossing a line or being near a line without knowing it is sufficient magnitude to disqualify him? I mean, to me, that's not considering the people. It's not considering the people who came out to vote for him, who voted him and elected him.
Thank you.
And so,
Right.
and so you're here to serve the people.
Yes.
And we're tired of not being served.
Thank you.
And
Well said. Well said.
If you're on Torrance Road, I think you're in District 4. Maybe one day you'll run for commission as well. We would love to have
I
you
don't know.
volunteers.
I wouldn't say I'm of the right age to be doing that. I'll tell you what.
I have a newborn and two other kids. at home.
Excuse me, I know I've earned the right to speak my mind. And, because of my age and because of my experience, I am not an attorney, but I'm a mental health therapist, and this country is sick. It's sick. And I don't understand why people aren't getting up and saying something about it unless they're afraid to. And frankly, you get to a certain age where you're not afraid anymore because, you've got nothing to lose. But what I'm saying is I don't want this to be a political thing necessarily, but I think it's a small example of what's going on in a huge sense all over this country.
Yes.
All over this country, and nobody's doing anything about it.
Thank you very much. I know
Thank you. I'm sorry. I don't have many opportunities to voice
You are
my
welcome.
anger.
The first Thursday we have public comment the first Thursday of every month. You're always welcome at Whetstone Library.
Thank you. I appreciate your
Yeah,
work.
I would love to see this much attention when we talk about homelessness and other really important topics in our community as well. Are there any other public comments this evening? Are there any other public comments this evening?
Oh, stop.
Yes, sir. Please share your name and your street for us.
Please
Please make sure you can hear our guests.
Mark Shanahan, Morningside Drive.
Please do.
The thing that
Mark Shanahan, Morningside Drive.
the issue that strikes me is that you have, I think, legitimately talked about the commitment and the hard work done by your elections committee. And it seems to me from reading their report, the elections committee took their responsibility extremely seriously. Had a real discussion about what they should do in this case and came back to you with a very clear recommendation. And it seems to me you'd have to have some very significant grounds to overturn that committee's recommendation, and it would show a real lack of trust in the people you put on your elections committee.
Thank you very much for your comment. We do have a zoning committee action item we need to get to, so if we could finish that public comment, unless there's new material being brought forward, yes, please share your name and address.
Sandy will sing is Blake Avenue.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, I don't
there's gotta be a reason that people wanna overturn this election. It doesn't have anything to do with crossing, a line. I've done electioning for a long, long time, didn't want anything bad. I know about that line. I've never heard of an election being overturned, because of that. After it was done, you tell the person in advance, and then, you deal with it then. But to overturn it after the people have spoken, and I'm afraid this is kind of what's the problem with the Democratic Party, is that we, it's like, if you don't do it the way, if they're not the person they want, this is what happens. So I think you'd have a lot more people coming to these meetings if people felt they were represented by the people that they have wanted to get elected. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any additional comments as to whether the area commission should sustain the elections complaint or dismiss it? Going once, going twice. Okay, we will do a voice vote by each commissioner. If you vote to sustain the complaint, then that would disqualify the election results. If you vote to dismiss the complaint, then the election's results stand. Mr. Tobias, do we need to make a motion? Okay.
There should be a motion one way or the other after some discussion or deliberation.
Is there additional discussion among commissioners?
There could be a motion to either
Sustain or
the
dismiss.
complaint or a motion to dismiss it.
Okay. Would any commissioners like to make any additional comments? Would any commissioner like? Yeah, Mr. Moritz. Commissioner Moritz.
I think that rules from the city attorney are pretty clear.
Does that mean you would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
To sustain or dismiss the election complaint?
To dismiss the election complaint.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, so we have a motion for Mr. Moritz for the minutes that we will dismiss the elections complaint. And we have a second from Commissioner Miller. I will go around robin and do a voice vote.
And to dismiss, again, that means that
The election results
stands.
stand.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for confirming. Everybody understands what we're doing? Okay. Commissioner Moritz, shall the election complaint be dismissed?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller, shall the elections complaint be dismissed?
Yes.
Commissioner Saucer, shall the elections complaint be dismissed?
Yes.
Commissioner Hively, shall the elections complaint be dismissed?
Yes.
Commissioner Lotta, shall the elections complaint be dismissed?
Yes.
Commissioner Weinman, shall the elections complaint be dismissed?
Yes.
And I too shall vote yes. So unanimously, the elections complaint is dismissed. Now we need to vote as to whether to certify Will Platt as our new District 3 Commissioner. That's the warning about the library closing for those who are not monthly attendees. Okay. Yes. Would somebody like to make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Congratulations on your election. And I would like to make a special invitation to 10 TV, NBC4, and all the media to come back to Clintonville anytime.
Our next meeting is November 6th for all you people who are leaving right now.
Because I'm getting oh, you're the district
If we could, any conversation, if you could take it out in the parking lot so we can take care of our zoning agenda, we'd really appreciate it.
Mr. Chilton doesn't want to stay for zoning? No, it's fine. Make sure she doesn't
She's like it.
First Thursday every month. Please exit.
Alright, see ya.
Hello, everyone else. Normal size crowd. Let's shut the Chair Hardwick, thank you very much for being here and running the cameras successfully. I will now turn it over to you to share the zoning items before us this evening.
I never promised it's successful until it's plugged it into my computer.
I'm never doing it again.
By the way, anyone wants to volunteer to be the tech committee chair, I would be happy to turn over the job of being a videographer. My success is that this will only be a little bit tilted. Anyway, I do want to make one correction in the committee members present. It was Sharon Groves who's there, not Diane Hayford. I think that's important because Diane and Michael both had conflicts, and they are the most skeptical members of the committee. I don't know which way they vote. Sometimes but I thought you should be aware of that, and that's an important thing to put in there. We voted 6-0 to approve the applicant's proposal, which is BZA 25-101 43 Piedmont Road. This is to increase the height of a detached garage from 15 to 21 feet, to increase the square footage from 720 square feet to 1,010 square feet, and to reduce the maneuvering from 20 feet to 18 feet. And that this is, there was a lot of public comment, and I see the people here, and I'm gonna try to keep my comments brief, because one issue we had is people speaking for other people, and I want to let them speak for themselves. There were significant concerns from neighbors. The one that struck me as the most relevant to this project was a tree that overhung the project somewhat. There was a lot of discussion about sewer lines, but based on the training I've received, there's no variance talking about sewer lines. They have to comply with the sewer code. If he doesn't, it isn't going to be approved by the city. So we set that aside. My walk through I drive through the neighborhood and looking around, this garage would be be on the big side for the neighborhood, but not outrageously big. And it is a 2-story house. I don't think we've ever turned down a variance this small at least especially for garage height. And there was also some concern about whether it could be eventually converted into a mother-in-law suite or Airbnb or whatever. And because of city zoning code changes, it can city zoning code could do whatever they want and make whatever they want legal, regardless of what we do here. I think we and you generally not taking the position that someone might cheat is a reason to say no. So that's my report. I'll let the applicants here and the neighbors are here, and I'll let them speak for themselves. Unless you have questions for me.
Are there questions for Chair Hardwood from commissioners or from neighbors before we turn it over to the applicant? Would the applicant like to present yourself?
Yes. I don't know if Mr. So, my name is Ruben Sotelo. I live at 483 Piedmont Road, and there are 3 variances that we would like to apply for. As Mr. Stevens says, that we actually would like to get the garage expanded, make it higher, and just the maneuvering variance. So if you go to the next slide. Next slide. It's not to scale, but right because of the project description that we discussed, if you like the next slide, please. So the first variance would be the garage elevation, the space on the 2-car garage on the left side of the public. It would be the 2-car garage with storage above it. The one on the right side is actually for the van that's high. That's why we like to do it high for the van. And then the staircase would be on the inside, but in overall, about approximately 20% will be visible from the streetscape view, and the remainder will be behind primary residence. The stores, like I said, above the two-car garage, staircase inside. No utilities, because that was something that was brought up. Just the essentials for like electrical, and then we have an electric vehicle for our vehicle charge. So that's pretty much it for the height. Next slide, please. The next slide is just kind of, we're going to expand to the east side, and then we're going to expand like 4 feet to the front just to accommodate the van size. The van is a full-size Ford Transit. It is everything's about 10 feet high and about 23 feet long. So we do expand the existing garage to accommodate for that size of vehicle. As you can see, the expansion would be about 1,010 square feet total. We would expand about 441 square feet. Like I say, it would accommodate the camper van, and then the east side garage would be the actual personal vehicles for like my wife and I. Okay, next slide, please. And then this is the maneuvering that was brought up by the zoning commission that I was not aware of it, but due to the, we do have an existing paver patio there with a little short wall where it reduces it to 18 feet. So that is why we're applying for this variance, because we didn't think about it until the zoning commission actually brought it up. Next slide, please. So this is just elevation drawing. From the view, the north side from the street, you see that about 20%, 80% would be behind the primary residence, and then the neighbors would see the existing images there. Next slide, please. And then that's one of the things that was brought up was the sewer line. Would it actually disturb the actual juniper trees that are on the east side neighbor? I did have it located, and I did have it actually plotted on the plan. It actually is on the west side, about 2 feet from the property line. So that, they called sewer division, and they said that it should be okay. They just wanted to make sure that if we're digging, we don't want to break or disturb any sewer lines. And because that's a lot of times, it is very expensive to repair that. So I did get that reviewed and located. And then I get the site coverage, I guess the proposal, I guess next slide, we can show that. So here's just information. When I got the division in 1928, they actually had the document, and then when I actually called the division, they sent me the plan where the sewer lines exist. There's one in the front on Piedmont Road, and there's one behind the two properties behind me. It's the one that we're connected to is the one that is behind our property. And as you can see, that's when I had it located recently, just showing the existing location of the sewer. Next slide, please. So this is kind of just a view, just kind of like showing the perspective of if you were to see it. So the north side, like I said, the garage would expand to the east side. The juniper trees that were in question, they're on the east side, and from property, from the lot wall to the junipers is approximately about 8 feet from the wall. We fill that wall up. And then on the south side, looking from the back to the front, there are some juniper trees, there are branches that are hanging on my property, and if I do build that wall, I will have to trim those trees back just so we will prevent damage to the wall. And then just the east side, just showing the perimeter of we're just kind of showing the perimeter of the expansion. And then the green space was brought up also. I did have my architect laid out, and he said right now like 59.7, and with the expansion and the cement and everything, it would bring it down to 49.5%. That was a question that was brought up about green space. Yes, in the back it will be a lot more, I guess, concrete, but in the front, we do have a pretty good sized front yard. And then we have some patio on the back, and then little space for I guess for the kids to kind of run around a little bit. I think that's it. Next slide. That's it. So,
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Are there questions from commissioners for the applicant?
I don't have a question, I just want to compliment you on that presentation.
Yes.
I guess practice that word.
If we had a template of that.
Thank you.
Are there questions from neighbors?
Can we speak or? Is it
Yes.
fine?
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
I actually measured from the fence. Pardon?
If you could just
I'm
your
on
name
the
and street.
east- I'm on the east side of the Juniper person.
Okay, okay, thank you.
So I actually measured from the fence, which was under our junipers over there, and it's 5 to 6, it's not 8. I measured it with a tape measure. I dropped my phone and I had to pick it up after that, but I took a lot of pictures of how far it was from the fence to that line that Ruben put in there, and it's close. That's my objection, and if the junipers are sliced off like Ruben says he's gonna do, then it'll kill the junipers. It's the root system that I was worried about. But if you have to prune junipers correctly, you can't just hack at them. And that's what I'm worried about, because this.
So your concern is the tree
Well,
canopy?
because the structure, and he's talking about a wall, so I don't know what this is, because I've never heard that before. And that's what's happened with this project. Things keep popping up, you don't know what's going on. We didn't hear about this till early September. I didn't know there was diagrams until Ruben came over, talked on our front porch. We went to the back, and I said, that's way too close to our property.
Thank you so much for sharing comments and for sticking around for a really long, tumultuous meeting. I appreciate that. So would the applicant like to respond regarding the spacing and the tree canopy and the wall?
Yes, so, like I said, I did have her over I actually laid out a string showing the perimeter of where it would expand to. She is correct from the line of the building to the fence, it is approximately 6 feet. But to the trunk of the tree, it's about 8 feet.
But it doesn't matter, the trunk of the tree doesn't matter. No, it doesn't, it's the fence.
Just to clarify, you're not requesting a setback variance, is that correct? And your concern is the health of the tree if they're.
Well, if Ruben wants to prune them or hack at them, then yes, it's gonna kill the rest of the tree. It's not the trunk, it's the roots and how you prune it. And that structure with 2 windows is facing our backyard. So it's right smack in the middle of the juniper. So I don't know why the windows have to be there if you're using it for a garage and a storage space. And I don't understand why it has to be 2 stories high either. Because that's all I'm gonna say.
Commissioner Wyman.
Can I ask Chair Hardwick a question?
Of course.
When it comes to trees, and the branches are going over onto your property, whose responsibility is that?
I think there are a lot of lawyers who make money off of the law. So our neighbors and I have always understood if it's overhanging your yard, you can mess with it. Though the good neighbors try to do it in the least destructive way possible.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on commissioners?
Yeah, that is a good point. If it's pruned, the tree is pruned by an arborist and in the root system as well, you can do root pruning. Basically, you cut a line there right where your footing is going to be, rather than having a backhoe hack out the roots. Then there's more success for the trees.
More success.
For the trees, yeah.
Are you open to pruning them in a way that is most conducive to them not being harmed?
Yeah, we could talk to that. Like I said, I want to protect the building, the wall also, but I don't want to damage the trees because, you know, there are beautiful trees. I guess they've been there for a while. I'm not sure how long they've been, but it seems like right right now, they kind of overhang a lot on our side. I know she had them approved a while back.
We had approved 3 or 4 years ago before you moved in.
Yeah, so we can talk about that, about approving them. So I'm not objecting to that, but we can discuss that with Chris and Doug.
Thank you, and I will point out, it sounds like you went over with the materials, and I understand we're not all in agreement on everything, but we encourage applicants to do that, so it is important for folks when they're seeking a variance to talk to their neighbors as you did, so thank you for doing that. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Mr. George Wilkins. I'm from the North Linden area, and I'm just learning for the first time because I also sit on zoning for the North Linden. I do have a couple questions for you because this is coming up in my neighborhood. I do like what you have there, but I just want to ask a question. Why does this have to be 2-story high? And my other question here, for the storage space, this is not going to be a living quarters. It's going to be something for storage. Now, you wasn't talking, but you had your back toward me because you were facing them. The question here, you talk about vehicles. So how many vehicles that you have? So I like this over here with this garage and other one. The windows, I'm fine, but you want to take out the middle one because of the privacy of the neighbor. You have one window on at the end and the other one, then take out the middle one because that's invading somebody's privacy. So I'm always good for this because you had done a good job, but you want something that's more security and for your cars to be safe. So I do get that, but this thing I see here, now, is all this going to be tied in? That case, if I can ask that question. Because this is 483 Piedmont Road. So, can I ask how long you live there? Do you occupy that house, you and your wife and kids?
We just, like I say, we did just move in. We do have one van, full-size van, and 2 vehicles, personal vehicles. So we do, like you said, we do want to protect at least vehicles that we drive, and that's, I guess, part of EY that has invested in money and cars and stuff. They want to protect their investment. As far as the windows, most of the windows is for natural light to go in.
Okay.
So if I block them off, I won't have natural light, and then I would have to use electricity to light it.
Maybe just take one out for the next door neighbor, because I'm going to be approaching this at my zoning committee in North Linden, because this is something similar to this on Genesee Avenue. So that's why I asked this question. So I'm really all in favor, but I'm not from this committee. I'm from the North Linden community. So I do think we keep time.
Thank you, sir. We have time for perhaps one more question. I want to make sure we have a chance to vote tonight. Are there any other questions or comments from neighbors on this applicant? Okay, I see 2 hands. If we keep it brief, I think we can do both. The gentleman in the polo right behind Mr. Hardwick.
I wasn't able to attend the last meeting.
Sure.
Ruben and I already talked. You all talked with you. You did a good presentation of everything. Ruben and I think we talked for, I want to say an hour. It was a long time. I told you that I was going to have many comments on it and everything of what we've been up against and all. Now, I guess my biggest thing is going from 12 foot to 21 feet. Like I told him, if you saw the elevation of the house, my name's Tim Fox, I'm catty corner from his house. So when we look out our window, we look up the drive so we can see the drive side going up. And so I keep standing in our living room and I'm looking up, and the 2nd story gutter, like he pointed out to me, the 2nd story gutter is where the peak of the garage is going to be. When you think of that going across the whole back of it, to me, in Clintonville, I guess all the walking that we've done around, I've never seen a 3-car garage in our plot of land, unless you're on North Broadway or one of the bigger streets like that. And I just thought it was a little big for it. And like I tried to point out before, we have 3 cars ourselves, and we have a camper. So we have a camper, we have a 2-car garage. Our garage doesn't house any of them, so that's our choice because I have equipment and stuff that's inside the garage, so we don't have room for ours either. But if we were in that case, you kind of have to put some things. You have to kind of weigh out your options. If you have these vehicles, what are you going to do with them? When you have them. And when I pointed out to him on this, I was saying that, you know, knowing the size of the van, if you look at the thing, I think as we were talking, the glass that was above the door was could basically be eliminated. When I look at, I guess, I've heard of the pitch, trying to be architecturally correct by keeping the pitch of the garage to match the pitch of the house. Well, being in drawings and engineering before, the pitch of the garage is not what the pitch of the house is. If you look at the pitch of the house, the pitch is, no, that is not the pitch. The pitch.
That's a dormer there.
That is not, well, that's not the dormer.
Is it?
The other is
She's
trim.
in Dutch colonial downstairs.
The pitch of the house is the roof. That isn't actually a dormer. And you go inside the house, there are no walls that come down where the pitch is. That is actually trim. And so the pitch, to match the pitch of that, the roof line of the garage should also, I would think, match it to make it in line. So when I did the calculations on that, when I figured out the pitch versus that, I come up with like a 32-inch difference, which is like I was saying before, if you dropped it 3 feet, I think everybody would be in a little more visual that it would be, you know, it's housing the van and, you know, accommodate one-to-one. Now I understand the other part of it was for having a 7-foot storage on the other side, but you know, if it's a garage, we all have storage in our garage, I think, and you know, I do in ours. Ours is a shorter ceiling, 12 foot high, so I've got less storage up there, but you do have your wood down, you stick your stuff up there. You don't need the inside steps and all that stuff to accommodate, but 7 foot high would be nice, but in this case, to appease everybody else, to keep it a little shorter, I don't think it would need to go as high. I know this would be the time of doing it, but like I told Ruben, that, you know, from looking up our drive and seeing the 2-car garages, what I could visually see is looking right at the van from our perspective, 3 blocks of cinder, 3 more cinder blocks going up would clear the height of the van and would allow, you know, just basically raising the roof where it's at, and you would accommodate 2 cars, and then you would have one outside, but that one would be parking where the van is now, so you'd be actually housing all your cars back up the drive like you were before. So I was just trying to throw across a lot of these different options that I thought would kind of like bring down the height of it and you know, accommodate all, well, won't accommodate all the cars, because you're getting the van that you wanted out of there, you know, in there.
We have to be out of the building.
Raising the roof.
Thank you. Okay, this is the last comment.
So I'm actually the neighbor. We have a shared driveway and an easement that goes through, so we're the other neighbor.
Okay.
Just to make sure, if you could go back to the project photo. Thank you. So Ruben, I just want to make sure that's not coming over to the right towards us. It's not.
No.
It's going to be in the same kind of.
You look at the reference picture last,
Okay,
so,
because the one that's superimposed, maybe it's just.
that one. Sorry, the one above it, it's number 8.
Yeah. No, if I could go back to the project photo, just because that particular image made it seem like it was
so,
much further over.
So if you look at that, we're going to keep the original garage wall the same. The wall on that thing on your side.
Between, I mean, there's sort of an easement thing, and actually right now, we don't have access to the side of our garage anymore. That the easement has been closed off, but there's pretty minimal space between the garages, like 6 feet, maybe a little less than 6 feet between the garages. So we just wanted to make sure it wasn't coming over.
Yeah, we're expanding to the west wall.
Thank you.
The original wall is going to stay the same. We're just expanding forward, upward.
Thank you. Our hand is being forced on time. I'm going to do a voice vote. Commissioner Moritz, shall the variances be approved?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Saucer?
I'm going to abstain just because I feel like the neighbors need to work out both of these issues.
I don't know if you can abstain.
It's an option in my table.
It is? Okay, all right. Commissioner Hively?
Yes.
Commissioner Lotta?
Yeah.
Commissioner Wyman?
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. Great. Is there a 1 minute public comment that did not get made tonight? Yes, sir.
So Jeff Frost, Caller B. One of the commissioners spoke about going to an ADU presentation. I want to encourage you all to learn about ADUs. The legislation that's going through right now will stop this kind of interaction. People will be able to build an ADU, the second house onto any residential lot in Columbus.
Thank you very much, and definitely echo the sentiment. If you can help us take out the chairs.